Donald Trump's health is rapidly declining, with experts saying he could have as little as 6 months left to live.
So Donald Trump's health is a topic of conversation again because this is a photo that was taken yesterday. And this is not the first time we've seen Donald Trump's hand with a bunch of makeup caked on top of it. But this photo in particular is just stunning. Here's another one, a closer up angle, again, taken yesterday. That does not look good to me. I believe one of the excuses the Trump administration gave for the makeup on Donald Trump's hand when asked was that he was just shaking so many people's hands, and so his hand got bruised. I mean, that's just total BS.
So the president has congestive heart failure and or chronic kidney disease, I'm pretty sure. I'm a physical therapist and I work in home health. I work with congestive heart failure and chronic kidney disease patients on a daily basis and have done so.
Greetings, my lovely people, and welcome back to my channel. So Donald Trump's health has become a topic of growing concerns among Americans. Recently, sharp-eyed observers noticed what appeared to be a heavy makeup on his hand, something that the White House has quickly dismissed as a simple side effect of frequent handshakes. People have been noticing his weak appearances in public, visible bruises on his hand, swelling in his feet and ankles. Questions are being raised about whether the president may be battling a much more serious health concern. Let's have a look.
So I've been looking at this makeup all over Donald Trump's hand, and I talked to a cardiologist, I talked to a nurse practitioner that specializes in cardiology, and it is absolutely fucking clear that Donald Trump has multiple heart conditions. They're having to draw his blood every single day. That's why he's got that 10 pounds of makeup on there. He probably has atrial fibrillation and probably peripheral vascular disease. That's why he's got those fat ass cankles. And this is being totally hidden from the American people. There is no way that he's not having his blood drawn pretty much every single day because he's on very strong medications relating to his heart. Now, this is ridiculous, and it's the same shit with our mainstream media, not asking questions, not digging, not doing their damn job. Just like when he allegedly got, that assassination attempt and allegedly hit with a bullet in Pennsylvania, and they never got the original medical report. They let his alcoholic, unlicensed doctor, Ronnie Jackson, write a BS medical report, which I've got that. I'm going to tear that apart too soon on a video. And, it's just so infuriating because he lies and lies and lies. And he said Sleepy Joe Biden, but he's the fat guy falling apart in front of our eyes.
So the president has congestive heart failure and or chronic kidney disease, I'm pretty sure. I'm a physical therapist and I work in home health. I work with congestive heart failure and chronic kidney disease patients on a daily basis and have done so for the last 14 years. I made a video previously explaining why I thought he did based on the symptoms I was spotting at the time, particularly the nature of the swelling in his legs. But then I remembered I've forgotten an obvious one, periorbital edema, or swelling around the eyes. My wife is a massive fan of Sherlock Holmes, and she has all of the Jeremy Brett versions of Sherlock Holmes from Grenada Television in the UK from years ago, all on DVD. Jeremy Brett was a brilliant British actor who actually ended up passing away from congestive heart failure. And as his disease progressed, he put on weight in general, and he developed periorbital swelling. So when you look at Trump nowadays, it's not simply that he's getting old and his skin is sagging, it's that his eyeballs are floating from all that fluid his body is not supposed to be carrying. And I've seen several videos recently from ICU and ER nurses that suspect that he's actually on IV Lasix. We all know his diet is terrible, so we just need him to keep that up. I can tell you from firsthand experience with congestive heart failure and chronic kidney disease patients, the thing that puts them at the most risk of hospitalization or a fatal event is non-compliance with their medication or their diet. We know he's not compliant with his diet, but he can get away with that because he has access to the best health care the world can provide, including IV treatments whenever he needs them. Nobody is going to tell this president what he should or should not be eating, and that's fine. We're okay with that. Many of you were asking before, well, how long does he have? And the truth is, it could be a couple of months if he doesn't behave, which he won't. Awesome. And before any of you MAGA smooth brains jump in the comments, it was completely wrong of the federal government to hide how bad Joe Biden was actually doing. I don't care who it is in office, you need to be healthy. And if you're not, those things need to be disclosed to the American people. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
All right, my live just ended. Let's talk about Trump's health for real, because as soon as I got off my live, a video was pushed to me that honestly just had a lot of misinformation. And I don't know if they meant it to be misinformation, but I'm a critical care nurse, and I'm going to tell you. So if you guys remember, before the media was even talking about it, I was talking about Donald Trump having CHF and how bad it looked and everything else, right? And you guys, okay, first of all, congestive heart failure, millions of Americans have it, right? It is something that you can absolutely live through, and it really depends on the degree of congestive heart failure that you have. Now, I do believe that Donald Trump is in the advanced stages, as I have said before. Why do I believe this? Because of the swelling that is all over him, right? Especially his ankles, etc. Yeah, that is called stage 4 pitting edema. You could tell just by looking at it how bad it was. Now, you take diuretics, you take things like furosemide, aka Lasix, things like that. If your family's ever been on it, then you know. He also is for sure on blood thinners. I believe that he has AFib. They tend to run hand in hand a lot of times, right? So I believe that he has AFib, and that is why he is bruising so much, because he is on blood thinners. You don't just bruise from shaking hands. You bruise from your blood being thin and shaking hands and it leaving a bruise. So I 100% believe that Donald Trump is not doing well. We know that his cognition isn't there either, but
The president's congestive heart failure is getting worse. I'm a home health physical therapist with a doctorate in my field. I see congestive heart failure patients on a daily basis. The reason I know that he has congestive heart failure is because of the swelling in his feet and ankles. And the reason I know it's getting worse is because he's sitting behind the desk on camera now. He lashed out against MSNBC for giving him hash about his ankles. This is how we know that something is true, because it gets to Trump. Remember recently where he was talking about going to heaven for some fucking reason? He says, people said I'm not doing very well. I don't think he's talking about the media. I think he's talking about the doctors who are treating him. The only reason his health has been maintained at all is because he has the privilege of getting IV diuretics, spironolactone, Lasix, Bumex, something like that. That's why his hands have been bruised and covered with makeup. Badly, I might add. We know that it's getting worse because he knows he cannot hide the degree of swelling. That's why he's sitting behind the desk. Oh, he also has chronic kidney disease, which is also contributing to the swelling in the feet and ankles. I can't tell you how many times I have seen a patient in their home because they were hospitalized for AKI, or acute kidney injury. And the kidney injury was caused by nephrotoxic medications, namely diuretics, spironolactone, Bumex, Lasix. The president is definitely getting sicker, and we know he's not going to change his diet because he's such a fucking idiot. I think he's going to be around for 6 to 8 months tops.
Donald Trump in public recently has just been looking awful. I mean, this was him in the Oval Office yesterday, and this is not, peak human performance. He's not looking stellar here. There's been some speculation about the use of IV. There has been for some time now, but just very peculiar. It's especially weird that MAGA is very quiet about this. They spoke about Biden for 4 years, but this tight-lipped about.
Some medical experts have speculated that the signs could point to a complications like a congestive heart failure, which can cause swelling and requires ongoing treatment, including blood draws. While this remains unconfirmed, the lack of transparency from the White House has only fueled more speculation. For Americans, the health of any president is directly tied to a national confidence and stability, and that's why most of them, they want transparency, because leadership is about accountability.
Donald Trump managed to spark some very serious health concerns this week, not because he couldn't name the Pacific Ocean, just called it a big, beautiful ocean when he struggled to find the name, not because of all of the other cognitive slips he's had this week, but from something he said on Fox and Friends on Tuesday morning, implying that his health might actually be far worse than what any of us have been led to believe by the White House. Now, the White House, of course, has maintained that the reason Donald Trump's feet nearly exploded and he has makeup all over his hand is because he has chronic venous insufficiency, which occurs typically in elderly people as a symptom, not as a condition. But basically it means the blood can't get back from your lower body to your heart. And the White House is like, it's no big deal. But that alone kind of seems like a big deal. You need the blood to get back to your heart. That's kind of the big thing of blood, is it has to keep circulating or you won't be alive. Or at least the part of your body where the blood is not circulating will not be alive. So it's been obvious for a long time the White House is covering up some pretty serious health conditions, and Donald Trump hinted as much during that interview on Fox and Friends. I will tell you what he said in just a second, but first a quick word from today's video sponsor. So while he was talking with the good folks on the Fox and Friends couch, he was asked, of course, about wanting to stop the war in Ukraine, Russia's aggression, although he didn't call it that. But that's when he let slip that things might be worse inside of him than any of us had thought. Trump said, quote, "I just want to end it. If I can save 7,000 people a week from getting killed, that's pretty good. I want to get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. If I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons." So you've got your health and death and afterlife on your mind. Typically what people in the end stages of life will, and of course, have on their mind. But I will point out something here. It could be that Donald Trump is mocking the people who say that he is in poor health when he is in fact in excellent health. I'm hearing I'm in poor health. Making fun of the people who say you're not healthy. But I don't think Trump is clever enough to mock people like that. And it's pretty obvious that the White House is in fact covering up health issues. Because yes, the giant swollen ankles and feet can be explained by chronic venous insufficiency. The makeup on the hand is not related to that at all. And we just...
Congestive heart failure is getting worse. A cardiologist told me once when I was in the military that everyone eventually leaves here and has some type of heart issue. Then it's an awful long time for your lungs and heart and other organs to have to work. And WIG has been on the earth almost 80 years. Seeing the swelling of the ankles, the markings on the hands. I also know that WIG has the best doctor that money can buy. So he's probably getting round the clock treatment. The people in Scotland told the story that when he was over there, he traveled with a bunch of medical professionals. Telltale sign that I see that I know that it's getting worse is that he's sitting behind the desk more. He's not anchoring himself to the Oval Office desk, not allowing us to see his ankles. Also tell by the shift in his conversation. One thing about WIG, when something is true that you say about him, he tries to overtalk you and lash out and even demean you to distract from the truth that you're telling. So tell by his conversation. The other day he says, "I hope I make it to heaven. It doesn't look like I'm doing too good. I have a heaven or hell to put him in, but I know that his congestive heart failure and his other medical conditions are getting worse." Most that we can all hope for as we get older is that we'll do more good than we do evil. We'll hear "well done." It's not helping his condition because he also eats as if his body is a big dumpster trash can. We can tell he doesn't do any type of exercising. Expect to sow so much evil over the earth and live a long, healthy life. Look at his buddy, Mitch McConnell. Man reaps what he sows. WIG's congestive heart failure, other many medical conditions getting worse. Just me? Do you see it? What changes have you noticed? Yeah, I can't be the only one.
So Trump's hands are bruised again, and we wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't for this terrible cover-up job. Honestly, my conspiracy theory is that the White House makeup artist is doing this on purpose. This has been going on for months, and I was curious, how long has Trump's hand been bruised like this? This is from the inauguration. They seem to have gotten worse somehow at covering up his bruises, because let's do a side-by-side. Okay, so how do we go from this, which you can barely tell there's anything there, to this, unless the bruises are getting worse for some reason, which is interesting. It's very interesting to me. But of course, Carolyn Levitt brushed it off. He was just shaking hands, and he takes aspirin. It's not a big deal. Back in 2020, Trump just unpromptedly tweeted that he did not have a series of mini strokes when no one was saying that he was. They just said that he went to Walter Reed in 2019 and that Mike Pence had taken over for a moment in case he stroked out. But Trump read that as, we said that he had a series of mini strokes. It's like a 3-year-old drawing on the TV and then saying, "I didn't draw on the TV with crayons." Anyways, I think he's sick. What could possibly cause that much bruising on the back of your hand that you need to have that much foundation on it that doesn't even match?
So the word in Washington is that President Donald Trump has congestive heart failure. Now, I know that his doctors say that he's in perfect health and that his resting heart rate is that of a 20-year-old man, but you cannot deny the signs, the swelling of the ankles, the catheter that he was seen wearing, His health he just looks like he's in bad health. Also, what's up with all of the bruising on the hands? That bruising is not caused by shaking of the hands. That bruising is something more severe. It could be because he gets blood is drawn from him every day or every other day. And I mean, if you've noticed, he tries to cover it with makeup, but I mean, we can see right through it. Us Americans need to know what is going on as far as his health. Let me know.
If Trump doesn't go golfing tomorrow, there's a very good chance that J.D. Vance will be sworn in as president. What's golf got to do with it? He hasn't been golfing in 13 days. That is his prior record. Of all the times that he's been in office, he has not golfed for 13 days. That is the record. If he doesn't golf tomorrow, that will be 14 days. All of the speculation about the leg swelling, congestive heart failure, the drugs that are being used to treat it, causing the bruising on his hands, the potential dementia, that might all be legit. Like someone tracking his golfing. So you could see he is now at a 13-day streak. Again, if he doesn't go golfing tomorrow, he might really be as sick as a lot of the speculative healthcare experts are saying.
Whether these signs are harmless or are something more serious, one thing is clear. The American people deserve transparency. Why? Because at a time when the country faces major political and global challenges, doubts about the president's health only deepen uncertainty. So until the White House addresses these concerns directly, speculations will continue to spread. And if it's true he is indeed sick, we can only wish him quick recovery, alright? But honesty and openness remain the best way to restore public trust. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Your support really means a lot, and it helps us keep bringing you more insightful content. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.